Hi, my name is Joshua Smith. I'm in the music production program at Full Sail. The person that I decided to interview his name is John Burns. He was my high school band director. He also directs Winter Guard, marching band, drumline. He does all kinds of stuff. So I figured he was a great person to contact, given the visual aspects of Winter Guard and marching band and drumline, so on and so forth. A lot of the discussion pertains more to that side of the arts thing. So with my images, I'm going to put up some Winter Guard marching band images pertaining to the flags and the backdrops and the flooring and stuff like that, so you can get an idea of where he's coming from in the conversation. I know he mentions the Mona Lisa. I can put up a picture of that as well. But I recorded the conversation through Pro Tools and then exported it as an audio file. So I'm going to put the recording and display the images as well while the recording is playing, so you can hear the answers to his questions. And he gave some really great points into what he does for a living. So I'll go ahead and put that up, and then that's going to be my podcast. Question number 1. What do you see as the role of the visual arts in society today, particularly in your profession?
Okay, in my profession, I'm in education, and I'm actually in arts education and in music, music education. The role to me that any kind of visual art, musical art, performing arts, the role that it plays in education is part of making the whole complete human being. In the United States, all children are entitled to a free and appropriate public education, and the critical aspect of that is arts education from at least K through 12. So the role that it plays is central. It's just an inherent necessary component of a full appropriate education. It's sort of what makes the whole human being is exposure to the arts. As far as the role I think the visual arts play in society and in my profession, it is everywhere, and although we may not recognize it for what it is, but it's omnipresent, whether it's graphic arts or various types of media that are omnipresent on the internet, on TV, on the billboards that we drive by every day, on the banners that greet us when I go into work in the morning. So this is a necessary and omnipresent part of everyday life, really.
Awesome.
Now, as far as... Okay, good.
All right. So, question number 2. New communications and media technologies make imagery almost instantly available, such as banners and billboards and advertising and all that kind of stuff. Do you believe that this has a positive or negative influence on your field or industry? And can you provide an example either way?
Sure. As far as how readily available art applications are these days, particularly over the internet and various services, paid for services, I think that's overall beneficial to my industry, particularly in my little niche of marching band and music. These days, if I want to have a really beautiful design on a flag or on a tarp that we're going to use for a Winter Guard production, or even if I just want to create a beautiful logo for the band, I'm able to access a lot of really wonderful, high-quality images pretty easily. And of course, rightly so, these images aren't free, but I think the fact that they're so readily available overall is very, very helpful. The only possible flip side of me just looking at this as an artist, as a musician, is that because there are so many things that are readily available and so easy to find, it might otherwise limit someone's creativity, I think, when they're looking for solutions, art solutions like that, just because there's so many things available. On the other hand, because there's so many choices, for some that might be something that's a bit of a benefit, if that makes sense. In other words, there may be some options that someone might not otherwise have been aware of. Just a little searching, you may find those things. Whereas I think just 10 years ago, doing some of these things, let's say I wanted to have, a digital image of the Mona Lisa on a flag. That would have been really, really difficult to do 10 years ago, whereas today, even though I'm not sure that's a great example because I'm not sure I'd be able to get the rights to use that image, but if I wanted a really high-quality image and I wanted to use it in a production somehow, it's pretty easy to do. It's still costly, but just so much easier than it was 10 years ago. And I imagine in another 10 years, the price is going to go down even more because competition because of supply and demand, and just how easy it is to access these things.
Awesome. So question number 3. What images are frequently repeated throughout your industry, such as is there any particular like artworks or anything that pertains to art that's constantly repeated throughout the different industries that you're doing?
Well, nothing comes to mind as being just ubiquitous and unavoidable. But what I have seen, and again, I've seen a real sharp uptick this in the past 20 years, actually, is graphic arts being just a part of every band program, I suppose. Whether it's just having a wonderful logo for your brand name or your band name in particular. Also, I think there's been a really, really, really dramatic increase in the number of bands and pageantry art groups that utilize digital art in their productions. You almost can't go to a band show anymore without somebody that has digitally printed backdrops or fronts or flags. And sometimes these are well-known images like a Matisse or even a Rodin sculpture or a Vincent Van Gogh painting on a flag or on a backdrop or what have you. But there isn't necessarily one image, there isn't necessarily one thing or one icon that we always see. It's just this great proliferation of digital art in our field.
All right. So question 4. Who is one of your favorite visual artists, and or what is your favorite style of visual art?
Yeah, I think I'd go with style, and I would say Impressionism overall, just because of I just like the beauty of what it is. It's trying to create a feel or a mood that can be associated with a time or a place or a thing, or as opposed to being necessarily a realistic depiction of whatever, of a scene or a thing. And there's something about that that just really appeals to me, and I just find it, somehow more visceral. So, yeah, Impressionism.
Cool. And question 5. Has your knowledge of famous artworks influenced your creative process?
Only somewhat, and here's what I mean by that. I have a very limited, kind of understanding of different genres of art when it comes to visual arts, and my experience in doing staging and things like that for Winter Guard and Drumline and marching band. Through that, I've gained a really, really basic knowledge of concepts like space and balance and weight and time and texture as it applies to what I do, whereas I don't necessarily recognize all of those aspects when I look at a painting or a sculpture, although somehow I feel like I'm faintly aware of that, more than the average layperson perhaps, but still in the end I feel like my overall understanding of visual arts, as far as styles and concepts and techniques, is more like a lay person who is somewhat enamored with it, if that makes sense.
Yes.